Hello everyone, you're learning linguistics and literature with Imran. Today we will learn what do affixes mean. So when a letter or a group of letters are added at the beginning of a word to make a new word, this is called prefix. And when a letter or a group of letters are added at the end of a word to make a new word, this is called suffix. And together, prefixes and suffixes is called affixes. So in this lecture, we will learn what do affixes mean. Let's learn our today's lecture. When we made the distinction between affixes and bound bases, we did so on the basis of rather a vague notion of semantic robustness. So in one of our previous lecture, we differentiated affixes from bound bases. Bound bases are morphemes that cannot stand alone as a word. So bound base needs another bound base, or sometimes bound base needs another prefix or suffix. So bound base or bound bases cannot stand alone as a word. Similarly, affixes, prefixes and suffixes also cannot stand alone as words. But there are differences. If you want to know what is the difference between affixes and bound bases, so please watch the lecture Kinds of Morpheme. The link on the lecture Kinds of Morpheme will be given in the description list. If you want to know the difference between affixes and bound bases, so please you must watch that lecture. So bound bases in some sense had more meat. So what does mean by more meat? It means that bound bases will give us more potential meaning. Remember the words psychopath and pathology. So bound bases had more meat. Bound bases had more potential meaning compared to affixes. When we say like books, so we have here like a suffix s, books. Or when we say unhappy, so we have prefix un. So un and is do not give that much potential meaning. Only they change word category, or they change meaning, or they change sometimes meaning to the words, but they don't have potential meaning compared to bound bases, right? So let us now attempt to make that idea a bit more precise by looking at the typical meaning of affixes. So we will learn now that what do affixes mean. In some cases, affixes seem to have not much meaning at all. Consider the affixes in 14. So it means that in some cases, affixes will not provide us, or affixes will not give us meaning at all. For example, like we have shun, like in examination. So examination is a noun, while exam is a verb, right? So what is shun? That is suffix. When we add with the verb exam, it becomes examination. So we won't have any potential meaning here, or meaning is not given at all by this suffix shun. Similarly, we have our taxation, which is taken from the verb tax. Again, shun does not give us any meaning at all, right? Or realization, taken from the verb realize. Again, we have shun. So again, the suffix shun does not give us meaning at all. Okay? So what does they do then? They only change the category of a word. So the only function of the suffix shun is to change category. It turns verbs into noun. Exam, examination. Tax, taxation. Realize, realization. Construct, construction. Right? Now we have second example, and that is with suffix ment. So we have agree, and that is a verb. And when we add suffix ment, it becomes a noun. Agreement. Similarly, we have a verb that is place, and when we add suffix ment, it becomes placement. and advance, advancement, and postpone, postponement. So these suffixes only turn verbs into noun. Only they change category. They do not give us any potential meaning. And here we have a, that is from refuse, refusal, and arose, arousal, and dispose, disposal. So here what do? They turn verbs into adjective. Again, category change. The function of these suffixes al, that is what? Category change. So they turn here al verbs into adjective. Right? Now here we have some more example, like in B, that is ity, like in purity. So we have the word pure. So pure is adjective and purity is a noun. Similarly, dense is adjective, and by adding suffix ity, density, it becomes a noun. Diverse is adjective, and when we add ity, diversity, it becomes a noun. Complex is adjective and complexity is a noun. And with ness, happy is adjective and happiness is a noun. Thick is adjective and thickness is a noun. Rude is adjective and rudeness is a noun. Sad is adjective and sadness is a noun. So the function of these all suffixes in the examples in B to change category. And these suffixes turn adjectives into noun. So pure is adjective and purity is noun. So these suffixes do not give us any potential meaning. They only change category. Sometimes they turn verbs into noun, and sometimes we see they turn adjectives into nouns, right? Like here we can see with the help of ness, happiness, and here we can see with the help of ity, that is purity and density. Beyond turning verbs into noun with meaning, like process of ing or result of ing, where x is the meaning of the verb, it's not clear that the suffixes shun, men, and al add much of any meaning at all. Right? So they do not add any meaning. So the only function is word to turn verbs into noun. Similarly, with ity and ness, these don't carry much semantic weight of their own. Aside from what comes with turning adjectives into noun, that means something like the abstract quality of x, where x is the base adjective. Like happy is adjective and happiness. So that is the quality of something, right? So affixes like these are sometimes called transpositional affixes, meaning that their primary function is to change the category of their base without adding any extra meaning. So these affixes, the function of these affixes is only to change category, right? And adding any extra meaning, without adding any extra meaning. So meanings are not given by these affixes, right? Only they change then category. But it does not happen with all affixes. There will be affixes which will give meaning, right? Contrast these, however, with affixes like those in 15, like with double E, employee, and recruitee, and deportee, and inductee. So here a person undergoes an action. So they do have some potential meaning. Similarly, like with less, that is suffix shoeless. So here less means without. So shoeless mean without shoe. Treeless mean without tree. Rainless means without rain. And superless means something that is without super. And similarly, we have re means to do something again. Reheat and reread and rewash. So here we do have some potential meaning when we add this re, less, and double E. So double E and less, they are suffixes, and re, it is prefix. These affixes seem to have more semantic meat on their bones. Compare with the previous example, like here we discuss examination and taxation and realization. So they do not give us any potential meaning, or they do not add any meaning at all. And here we can see they do add some meaning, like shoeless. One is shoe, right? One is shoeless. So list shows that you are without. And tree, like an area that is full of tree. And an area that is treeless, no tree is there. So we can see that these suffixes and these prefixes provide us some meaning, or they add meaning to words, right? Compared to the previous one where we talked about diverse and diversity. So these suffixes and prefixes on this slide, they do not add any meaning. And compared to this one, they do add some meaning, right? So to speak, double E on a verb indicates a person who undergoes an action. And less means something like without, and re means something like again. As here we discuss, right here, employee and employee. A person who undergoes an action. Less mean without, shoeless. And re mean to do something again. So languages frequently have affixes or other morphological processes, as we will see in chapter 5, that fall into common semantic categories. Among those categories are personal affixes. There are affixes that create people nouns, either from verbs or from nouns. Among the personal affixes in English are the suffix er. For example, we have a verb that is run, and when we add er, it becomes runner. So that is the doer of an action, right? Or we have a verb write, and when we add er, it becomes writer. So that is people nouns, right? Or we have, for example, a verb that is listen, and when we say listener, so that is people noun. So we are making a people noun from verb, right? We can also make people noun from nouns. For example, like employee or recruitee that we discussed on previous slides. Quantitative affixes. There are affixes that have something to do with amount. In English, we have affixes like full, like handful and helpful, and multi like multifaceted. Another example might be the prefix re that means repeated action, reread, which can be considered quantitative if we conceive of a repeated action as being done more than once. So reread can be considered as a quantitative affix if we consider it, or if we perceive it, that how many times something is done. Otherwise, when we add re, prefix re with the verb, it means something happens again, right? Re mean again. But if we talk about that how many times something is repeated, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, then we consider reread also as a quantitative affix. So quantitative affixes mean when we talk about the number of something, right? So thank you so much. It was all about the meaning of affixes. So please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. Thank you so much.